Things are about to start getting crazy because we are going to talk about the Loonatics. They're featured in a show called Loonatics Unleashed. Hello, my name is Gibson Shamar from Hikati Media, and today we are gonna, as the title already said, talk about Loonatics Unleashed. The short-lived animated series featuring Looney Tunes characters Descendants. I'm going to talk about the characters individually first, then talk about the show overall, so let's get through with it. We have the leader of the team, Ace Bunny, who is a descendant of Bugs Bunny. Before getting his superpowers, he was a stuntman. He was recruited after a meteorite hit Acmetropolis and gave some people superpowers, which is how he got his. He has laser vision, or is it heat vision? Whatever it is, he fires it from his eyes. He has the same Brooklyn accent as his ancestor does, and does a lot of trash talking too, just like his ancestor. Some of these genes are very strong, huh? It's almost like poetry. It rhymes. He's always in control of himself, doesn't get hyped or depressed or angered. The only time we see him worried is when his fancy sword is taken, but even then he remains composed enough. He is an exemplary leader for the team. Then we have our representative, Lexi Bunny. She's the female lead of the show, or second female lead, I don't know. But she's the girl of the team. She's cool, composed, and falls in line. She's pretty tame and is in full control of her powers. She emits a brain blast of sorts. It's pink and destroys things. She's the descendant of Lola Bunny. I guess things didn't work out between Lola and Bugs. That's kind of sad. But we move. She shows great concern over Ace. She's usually the one to show concern over him. All the others don't really. Maybe they were supposed to do the deed since their ancestors didn't? Who knows? There's no information to support that. She used to be a cheerleader before she got her powers. Then there's Danger Duck. Danger Duck. I gotta tell ya, I thought that this guy would be like the Wolverine of the team, the guy who is always arguing with Ace because he wants to be the leader and get with the girl. In the first episode, they showed him always disobeying orders, but because it's Looney Tunes, he'd always end up looking stupid. Despite the serious tone of the show, it was still Looney Tunes and had to have some sort of Looney Tunes gag in it. And it worked with Danger Duck. He's the descendant of Daffy Duck and behaves just like him. He has the power of the quantum quack. I don't know what that is. But in simple terms, he can teleport and shoot some weird plasma-like things from his hands. He's also a self-centered jerk and is very irresponsible. The powers didn't change him for the better. He has a heart though. He enjoys saving lives, but he is first and foremost a glory hog. He has a failed lifeguard position in his resume. He was a failure of a lifeguard before he got his powers. Or was it a pool boy? It wasn't really clear because it's like the flashback showed that he was pretending to be a lifeguard, or maybe he was, but then they told him to get off the chair and handle the other pool duties. So, yeah, there you have it with him. Next up, Slam Tasmanian. He's the descendant of the Tasmanian Devil. He's the team's muscle. He doesn't have super strength. He's just naturally very strong. He doesn't talk much and is always willing to eat. He eats a lot. Everyone has to pick out their meal before he does because once he starts, there's no stopping him. He doesn't speak very much either, but understands English perfectly. The team member he interacts most with is Danger Duck. He's easy to fool and not very smart when it comes to books. I wouldn't say that he's not street smart because his street intelligence is what got him living as a wrestler before he got his powers. Of course, his fighting days weren't necessarily evidence of his intelligence being high or even average. His powers are a bit vague to me. He's the strong guy of the group, but then his actual power is to create these tornadoes around himself. Basically the spinning thing Tasmanian Devil does, but now it's a superpower. He's a lovable guy, very funny, and very dependable. He's never out of line. In fact, no one is ever out of line except Danger Duck. Well, we got the leader, the girl, the rebel, the strong guy, and now it's time for the smart guy, Techie Coyote. You may have guessed it. He's the descendant of Wile E. Coyote. He's the brains of the group, always coming up with new gadgets to assist them in their fight against crime and villainy in the world. His intelligence is not his superpower, though. His superpower is controlling metal via magnetism. Yeah, he's a magnet. He's always at odds with Rev Runner, who is also a genius about whether or not his inventions will work. Thankfully, they work most of the time. He was a scientist/inventor before he got his powers. Next up, Rev Runner. He's the descendant of the Roadrunner. He's the only one in the show who has his parents show up. Guess what? They're also super fast Roadrunners, at least when it comes to talking. Rev has the simplest power of the group. He has super speed, which is just him running faster than he already does naturally. He was a delivery boy before he got his powers, but was always late for his deliveries. He comes from a family of inventors and has a little brother too, whom his father overlooks even though he is just as smart as him. It's a sad and funny story. Rev and his parents talk super fast and it annoys everyone around them. The only one in the family who doesn't talk like that is Rev's younger brother, and his parents complain that he takes too long to say anything. Seriously? Jeez, man. Rev's tendency of speaking quickly gets worse when he's talking about something he likes or something he has extensive knowledge on, prompting whoever is next to him to stop him from speaking or interrupting him. Even Ace gets tired of hearing him speak. He's also very intelligent. He rivals Tech when it comes to intelligence, and he's the one who dumbs down Tech's explanations for the rest of the team. While Tech uses a lot of jargon, Rev uses common words to describe the gadgets and their functions to the team. Then we've got Zadavia, or as Ace likes to say it, Zadavia. He always says it like that to make it epic, and I think that was done on purpose. She's the actual leader of the team while Ace is the field leader. She's the one who sends them on missions and more than most likely bankrolls the entire operation. She's an escaped princess from the planet Freeling, who left her planet when her brother, Optimatus, took over and wanted to enact his imperialistic goals. She did not and wanted to focus on developing Freeling alone. He wanted to conquer everything. This led to a fight and she fled the planet, eventually getting to Earth. Optimatus tried to kill her by sending a giant meteorite to Earth to crush her. Jeez, dude. You sound like the White Martians in my Justice League movie concept for how I would have done it. It's a series that I've been working on alternatively on this YouTube channel. You can go check it out. It's coming soon, this particular video, not to worry. I actually need to get back to that. Anyway, Zadavia is a level-headed, cool, open-minded, and highly responsible woman. We can see by the way she carries herself that she is burdened with responsibility and takes herself very seriously. She is an exemplary individual. She always appeared as a hologram in Season 1, but then started making physical appearances in Season 2 of the show. Her backstory was a mystery, and it was a dramatic reveal that she was the reason that the Loonatics got their powers because she diverted the meteor that was meant to kill her and made it hit a certain part of the Earth, or Acmetropolis, and that was what resulted in them getting their powers. She always congratulates the team at the end of the mission and gives feedback on their strengths and weaknesses, often reprimanding Danger Duck since he's always the one who goes out of line, and other times gives useful advice. She has energy-based powers. Then we have the main bad guy of the show, Optimatus. He is Zadavia's brother, who wanted to conquer the universe using his newfound technology that facilitates universal travel. He recruits a bunch of criminals who are apprehended throughout the show to do the dirty work for him, while he chills and waits in order to betray them. He fits the mastermind role perfectly. He's a cruel guy, self-centered, short-sighted, and arrogant. These are weaknesses that are exploited by the team. It doesn't help that the others he works with are equally arrogant and short-sighted. He makes for an entertaining villain, though. and his differing views from his sister make the thematic study of the show even more profound. He has the same powers as Zadavia and has some cybernetic body parts due to an accident that occurred on the day Zadavia fled Freeling. Well, okay, I think we've covered enough of the main characters. Let's get on with the show. The show is set in 2772 on Earth, and it's now called Acmetropolis. It's a city planet at this point in time, and random citizens got their powers from a meteor strike that sent a wave of energy. It's a very well made show for kids who wanted an action oriented cartoon based on Looney Tunes. The problem is that people didn't really want that, and most of them wrote the show off before even watching it, and criticized it when they did. The show was not getting any love. It even had fan backlash when the first designs of the characters were released. I think the idea to make the show was great. I love the story, I love the lore. There are things I didn't like about it, like Foghorn Leghorn's descendant being a human. What the heck is up with that? I also didn't like how the second season switched up the tone of the show. I believe it became more lighthearted due to fans not liking the darker and more serious tone of the first season. But then that kind of ruined it, and season 2, trying to stay consistent with season 1 and becoming lighthearted at the same time, failed to deliver a tonally consistent show, and the overall quality dropped. I like the way the Loonatics were characterized. They had unique personalities, and a lot of the time felt like they were their own people, unlike many team shows where everyone just has the same personality and goals, but they're different people. It wasn't a super complex thing, and many shows did the team dynamic thing better than Loonatics Unleashed. But this show still had something going for it, and that was it. My favorite character in the show was Rev Runner. He was funny, I liked the voice actor, I also liked how he annoyed everyone with the way he spoke, and he was also smart. He was also the most underused character. In a lot of the episodes, he gets like 1 or 2 lines. I think this is why they ended up having an episode that showcased his family, just so they could have more to do with him that contributed to the overall story. I also like how that episode brought back some of the good old Coyote and Roadrunner humor, with Tech's inventions backfiring on him and getting him hurt while Rev is all like, oops. I laughed a lot at that. My 12-year-old brother watched that episode with me and could not stop laughing. Ironically, my favorite episode is in the second season, but I like the first season better. Bummer that it didn't get more seasons greenlit. I really think that the show was onto something. We could have gotten something amazing for children. I don't think the cancellation of this show triggered any domino effect on action cartoons, but it just perpetuated the curse that action cartoons had on Cartoon Network. They never finish. Look at Samurai Jack, look at Megas XLR, look at Robot Boy, Young Justice. These shows never finished. At least Samurai Jack was given the chance, but on Adult Swim, not Cartoon Network. Megas XLR can't legally be finished. Robot Boy, well, I don't know if it needed finishing or not, since him becoming a real boy is kind of impossible, but it was still cancelled prematurely, or just didn't get renewed. Young Justice was given a chance on DC Universe, then HBO Max, and even there, we don't know if it's getting any new seasons or not. Symbionic Titan is another one, and it's my favorite Jendy Tartakovsky cartoon. It can't really be finished either, and only lasted a season on Cartoon Network. We also have Thundercats 2011. That show suffered a lot, and this show suffered the same thing. I was also disappointed with Porky Pig's descendant, Pinkster. They really had something going with that story that could have been a very touching addition to the themes of good and evil. He was in the same orphanage as Danger Duck, and Duck used a double-sided coin to get himself adopted before Pinkster. Duck was shown to not care at first, but at some point the guilt got to him and he opened up about it to the team. We could have had a major thing going on with Duck being the cause of Pinkster's turn to evil, since he ended up being adopted by criminals because of Duck's trickery. But then no. It turns out that it was all part of Pinkster's grand design. He must have learned from the best. He wanted to be adopted by the criminals and had set everything up, knowing that Duck would use that trick to get himself out of the orphanage. Clever stuff, but it kind of messed up the potential for some really deep storytelling, and this kind of stuff happens a lot. There's some cool things they bring up, but they never go too deep into it so it can be explored properly. Again, I blame this on going for a lighter tone in the second season instead of focusing on the more serious things. I mean, they even changed the opening theme song to make it more childlike and wacky. Come on, guys. The cameos, or extended cameos, or just guest appearances by the descendants of the remaining classic Looney Tunes characters were delightful too. I was disappointed with Sylvester Cat's descendant being a bad guy. I always sided with him in the Sylvester and Tweety episodes because, man, Tweety was annoying. They kept Tweety's annoying nature in this show, and the main victim was Danger Duck. It was pretty funny. Elmer Fudd's descendant was also a strange addition in the sense that they called him a descendant of one of the greatest hunters ever. I mean, Elmer couldn't even catch a rabbit, for Pete's sake. Well, I suppose his reputation probably improved off screen. A lot of stuff happened off screen, like Bugs and Lola not getting together and having kids with other people. I guess it's like poetry. It rhymes. The anime-inspired visual style I was not a fan of as a kid when they were implementing it on different cartoons. I never saw this show as a kid. I only found out about its existence last year and got it and watched it through totally legal means that are available in Africa. I've become more accepting of the visual style they used for the show now, but still prefer traditional 2D like in Samurai Jack, Megas XLR, and Symbionic Titan. It allowed for more fluid movement of the characters and the action scenes are more dynamic. In this show, the fights were kind of stiff. They were good scenes, well animated, but stiff. Again, I think that this show was overhated and deserved to continue, but then again, it's a bit too late for that to happen. We can only hope that a similar show is made in the near or far future for people who could appreciate it more. Well, that's all I can do with the self-imposed time limit I have to talk about the show. Check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and the rest of our channel here. You'll find plenty of stuff to entertain yourselves with. I guarantee it. And that's all, folks.